Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Thirumurai. By God's grace, we have already completed 14 Thirupathikams and today we are going to start with the 15th Thirupathikam. This Padikam is devoted to the place called as Sattiyakkudi, and this is also written by Karuvoor Thevar. It is written in the pun called as Panjamam. Sattiyakkudi is a very beautiful place. It is, as in, if you look at it, it is so quiet and so serene that you don't see much of people over there. It's so serene that once you get into that place itself, you will feel that you are, your mind waves are lowering down and the frequency is lowering down, and you will get into a beautiful meditative state or experience in this temple. It's such a lovely place to visit. Please don't miss this. Anyways, we are talking about this temple and this Padikam in variety of speeches as part of our 360-degree program, 360-degree view of 9th Thirumurai program. So I'm not going to spend too much of a time talking about the temple. Rather, we will directly go on to the Padikam. The very first verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. Periyava Karunai இளநிலா எரிக்கும் பிறை தவள் சடை முழுப்பா விழுந்து சரியுமா சுழியம் குழை மிளிந்திருபால் தாழ்ந்தவ காதுகள் கண்டம் கரியவா தாமும் செய்யவாய் முறுவல் காட்டுமா சாட்டிய குடியார் இருகை கும்பின கண்டலந்தவ முகம் எழ் இருக்கையில் இருந்த ஈசனுக்கே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். If you look at this very first verse, the introductory verse, it's so beautiful that we will be able to visualize Lord Shiva in this form. In this Padikam, Karuvoor Thevar says, Lord Shiva is the one who is the cosmic dancer who stays in this place called as Sattiyakkudi, and the temple name is called as Eel Irukkai, which is literally translated as 7 seats. What it means is Lord Shiva resides in our, as part of the yogic approach, we all know there are 7 chakras. So he is sitting on top of all our 7 chakras, and we will be able to relate with this only when we are in meditative state, and when we achieve once our Kundalini starts waking up and it traverses all the way until our 7th chakra. That is where Lord Shiva resides. So symbolically here they say Lord Shiva is in the above the 7 seats. Anyways, now when you talk about Lord Shiva, he is the one who has a beautiful hair, and the hair is not really well done. So you will be able to see a lot of matted hair, and in that he is holding on to a beautiful crescent. Crescent is his. We all do decorations and beautify, and we try to make ourselves look beautiful. Lord Shiva has taken the crescent as one of his ornament to make his hair look good. Okay, now how about his face? His face is so beautiful, smiling with a beautiful lips, and his throat has a black color, black tint in there. And we all know the Thiruneelakantam. The Neelakantam concept is based on all the poison that when Devas and Asuras were trying to take the nectar from the sea, from the ocean, they used a big mountain, Meru mountain, and they used Vasuki snake as the rope, and they started churning the sea, ocean, and because of that churning, there was a lot of poison that came in first. They call it as Ala Visham. This Ala Visham was taken by Lord Shiva in order to save the world, and he made it so visible for us to know that he is the one who is our savior. So he made it so visible as part of his throat. Not only that, he is also wearing beautiful earrings as part of his as part of his jewelry, and the more he dances, the earrings are also dangling. He is smiling at us. Why is he going to smile at us? Because the devotees here are singing, and because of their devotion, when they are praying and worshipping and singing, Lord Shiva is pleased, and because of that, he gives a beautiful smile, and his face is so bright. That is how Shiva appears. Now he also puts in a very interesting term here. He says, Lord Shiva is smiling at us. It is not because of what we are qualified about, but it is because of his grace. That is why he calls it as Periyava Karunai. Periyava means very big, magnificent. Karunai is grace. It is because of the big grace, the beautiful grace that Lord Shiva has on us, and it is so huge and it is so magnificent that we can't measure it, and it is only because of that he is smiling at us. It is not because of our qualification. That is what the first verse talks about. The second verse, the verse goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. Pandal punaram parikalam kavalam pattavartanam irudanbar Vanda Karnaruvi Manjana Salai Malai Magal Perundevi Sandamum Thirunirai Geetham Sadai Mudi Sattiyakkudi Indril Idayam Koyil Maligayal Irukayul Irunda Isanuke. Thiruchitrambalam. Today's verse is a beautiful verse. It comes as if we are criticizing Lord Shiva, but in fact, it tells us what are the qualities or the beauty of Lord Shiva. Here, we are starting with the way how he travels from one place to another. Before that, we need to understand how Lord Shiva is appearing, and at the same time, what are his ornaments or the jewelry, right? He is wearing all the snakes as his ornaments. It could be all the way from his rings to his bracelets to his necklace, all the way to his hip chain. But everything, the decorative ornaments that he is using is a snake. And he travels in a bull, or rather an ox. He is using a bull as his vehicle instead of an elephant. And what does he eat? He doesn't eat like us. Rather, he is having a Brahma Kabal, and that is the one he is using in order to get arms and have those as his food. If you look at this concept of taking arms, do you mean to say that Lord Shiva has nothing? Imagine when I want to go and beg to someone, what would I really beg on? Something that I don't have and something the other person has a lot, isn't it? If I have something, why would I go and beg to someone? So what is there in us that Lord Shiva doesn't have? We need to ask this question, because he's begging to us, which means he is lacking and something that we have in surplus. So what is that? That is what we call it as the arnavam, the ignorance or the entanglement that we are having. We have in surplus, but Lord Shiva is lacking in it. So he's asking that from us so that he can help us in elevating to the next step. You look at his grace. What else do we need to have as an example of his grace more than this, isn't it? And not only that, he is, the next question they may ask is, okay, he's traveling in an ox or a bull. And where does he stay? She should have some kind of a place to stay, isn't it? So the place that he stays is not a hut or a palace or whatever we are thinking about, but in the hearts of the devotee. Devotee's heart is the place that Lord Shiva resides. Okay, so he resides there. He should take his bath every day, right? So what is this using as a, what kind of a bath does he take? He doesn't bathe in normal water like what we are doing. Rather, he is using the tears of devotees as water for bathing. We all know some of us around us are aware of some cinema actors or actresses who wanted they wanted sandalwood paste to take their bath on, or even rose water to take their bath. And I know someone who was asking for Bisleri water, the distilled water, to wash their face. But Lord Shiva doesn't use any of these, but rather he uses the tears of devotees to take his bath. Okay, so after bath we need to do our makeup, right? So we all have our foundation, and then on top of it our blush and whatever, right? So we need to apply our makeup. Does Lord Shiva has any of these kind of makeup kit? Yes. Instead of the sandalwood paste, he is using holy ashes as a powder as well as his makeup. So this is what Lord Shiva is all about. He stays in the heart of the devotees, and he bathes with the tears of the adiyars, as in the devotees as well, and he resides in this place called as Sattiyakkudi. So this also shows what kind of a grace Lord Shiva has. The graceful act, graceful deed of Lord Shiva is denoted here. Now, when we talk about this, it sounds as if we are criticizing Lord Shiva, but indeed we are praising him, because this denotes his simplicity. He's so simple in nature. He can be, because if you look at us around us, we are the moment we get a little bit popular, we try to be having a very pompous kind of a lifestyle. But Lord Shiva wants to have a very, very simple, he shows himself in a very, very simplistic manner, so that we can have a confidence that yes, he's there with me. I can always reach out to him. So he gives us this confidence, and that is what verse number 2 is all about. And the third verse, the verse goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. தொழுது பின் செல்வது அயன் முதல் கோட்டம் தொடர்வன மறைகள் நான்கினும் கழுதொரு கரிகாடுரை விடும் போர்வை காவந்திகை கரியூரி தேரிந்தோன் தழலும் இள்ளரவம் கோவணம் பளிங்கு சபாவடம் சாட்டிய கொடியார் எழுதுனை சோரிந்தோம் வாழல் ஒளி விளங்கில் இருக்கையில் இருந்த ஈசனுக்கே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about what kind of a god is Lord Shiva. He stays in the place called as Sattiyakkudi. Here he is, if you ask about his whereabouts, he stays in the graveyard. Now all of us will have a doubt. In a graveyard, what kind of a god is he? Yeah, he stays in a graveyard. Obviously he doesn't have a place to stay, isn't it? So he's staying in a graveyard, so he doesn't have a place to cook or eat, or he doesn't have money to buy his food like what we are doing right now. So there is no way he can tabao. So what he does is he is getting alms from everyone, all of us, and that is his food. How about his dress? Oh, his dress is something which, the outer dress that he's wearing, the superficial dress that he's wearing is an elephant skin. How about the inner wears? Yeah, that's even more worse. He's wearing a snake as his underwears, as a underpants. Isn't it so dangerous to imagine this kind of a person? Yes, but he is the one who's being worshipped by all the devas. So he is certainly powerful. That's the reason devas are, all the devas are worshipping him. But at the same time, he is having all these kind of funny appearances. Now, if we go into a little bit more detail to understand this, then we will start appreciating. If you look at this particular padigam, the way how we need to imagine is very simple. Look at this. When Lord Shiva is asking for alms, it means that whatever we have in surplus, but he doesn't have, as we said already, which is the entanglement. So he is getting that. And he stays in a graveyard. Why is that so? Because after we die, as in this body, as the soul leaves this body, what happens is when the body is being brought all the way to the graveyard, first at the entrance of the house, our relatives will stop. After that comes the corner of the road. Wife, relatives, everyone stops that. No one comes beyond that. But the son can come all the way until the graveyard. So if you look at it, there is someone until the graveyard to accompany us even when it is a lifeless body. But after that, what happens? We need to have some kind of a confidence, right? So Lord Shiva gives us the confidence. Don't worry. When everyone leaves you, I'm there to take care of you. When everyone leaves you halfway and they can't follow, it's not that they don't want to, but they can't follow. When they can't follow, I can be the only one who can follow you through, embrace you, and make sure that you are never lonely. That is what Lord Shiva's promised to us. That is why he stays in the graveyard. How about his dressing? His dress is nothing but elephant skin, which means all our Arnavam is taken as a dress for him. The elephant skin represents black, huge. Black and the humongous dress that he has, that is what we are taking as the Arnavam, as in the entanglement that we are having. Is that all? Then we are also talking about the underpants. Underpants he's wearing is the snake, which is a representation to say whatever he wants to hide, he's going to do that. Whatever he wants to show us as a grace, he's going to do that. That is where our next birth is going to be given. So whatever needs to be hidden, whatever we went through in this life has to be hidden so that we can carry on with the next experiences in our life, so that the soul gets a little bit more matured. That is what our next birth is all about. So this is what Lord Shiva's deeds are. There's a lot of inner meaning behind each and every representation of this concept. So that concludes verse number 3 and the 4th verse. The verse goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. பதிகம் நான் மறைத்தும் புருவும் நரதரும் பாரிவோடு பாடுகாந்தார்பர் கதியெல்லாம் அரங்கம் புனையல் மூவுலகில் கடியிருள் திருநடம் புரியும் சதியிலார் கலியில் ஒலி செய்யும் கையில் தமருகம் சாட்டிய குடியார் இதயமாம் கமலம் கமலவர்த்தனையேள் இருக்கையில் இருந்த ஈசனுக்கே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today, in this particular verse, Lord Shiva is represented in the form of Nada Tattva. He is beyond Nada Tattva, but he is Nada Tattva, and at the same time, he loves Nada Tattva. Nadam means music, sound. Anything that is represented with sound, he is in for the game. That is why he is constantly singing all the Vedas as well as Thirumurai. Not only that, he is also listening to others' songs like Naradar, Tumburu. They are also singing continuously, and Lord Shiva is listening to it and enjoying the music. Due to that, he starts to dance, and his dance is like swaying. And while he is dancing, obviously his hands also will be moving. One of the hand which holds on to the damaru, that is also swaying, and because of that there is a beautiful sound that comes in from the damarugam, and that is the one which creates this entire world. And the sound is so huge, so the vibration is so magnificent that it creates the entire universe. This person, this Lord Shiva, this Lord, is residing in the place called as Sattiyakkudi, and you know what he relishes the most? He relishes all the devotees' love. When we are offering our true love without any expectation, the unconditional love that we have, when we are ready to give this to him, that is what he relishes as the most precious thing in this world. So all we have to give is not just the worldly things, all the abhishekam things and money and whatnot, but what we have to really contribute is our love. Followed by love, we have to give all the materialistic things. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be giving anything. We should be focusing on love first. Based on the love, then we have to start with the materialistic things. That is what verse number 4 is all about. Of course, this particular padigam, each and every verse is being discussed in a very detailed manner. Let's look at those videos also to have a better understanding, but this is the overview of the 4th verse. And the 5th verse, the verse goes this way, Thiruchitrambalam. Thirumagan Murugan Deviyilumayal Thirumagal Marumagan Tayam Marumagan Madanan Mamanilimavan Malayudayarayardam Pavai Tharumanai Valanam Sivapuran Thoran Dhanapati Sattiyakkudiyar இருமுகம் கடல் மூன்றேழகை தலம் ஏழ் இருக்கையில் இருந்த ஈசனுக்கே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about all the relatives of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has a son who is Muruga. Lord Shiva has a wife which is Uma Devi, and of course she needs to have a dad, right, which is father-in-law for Lord Shiva is the Parvata Raja, which is the king of Parvata. So that is why our Parvati Devi, the name Parvati Devi came in as well. And then that's why they call it as Dakshayini, because her father's name is Dakshan also, right? So that's why she was called as Dakshayini also. Not only that, he has a son-in-law. Son-in-law is Kaman, which is the Cupid, he's Cupid. His mom is Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. He also has a friend. The friend is Kuberan, which is also the person who takes care of all the wealth in this world. Now imagine all of these relatives and friends of Lord Shiva are there in a very good relationship, not like our relatives that we have as of now. So what happens here is, the place over here, Lord Shiva, is in the form with 2 heads, as in he has 2 heads, he has 3 legs, and he has 7 arms, as in the arms, shoulders. This is a bit of a weird structure that we could imagine, or the form that we could imagine. How we should look at this is, imagine when we are conducting any kind of a ritual or puja, basically the pyre, we will call Agni Deva, and we will send Agni Deva as a messenger to say, okay, God Agni Deva, can you please go and ask for rain to this god? Can you please ask for wealth to this god? Can you please ask health to this god? So we will usually send Agni as a messenger. In this place, Lord Shiva himself is in the form of Agni. So we don't need a messenger. We can directly talk to Lord Shiva. And what do we need? You don't need to send him to someone to ask for money or ask for wealth or health or whatever it is, or a good relationship. Everything is taken care directly by Lord Shiva. So which means, don't worry. If you go to Sattiyakkudi, pray to Lord Shiva here, you don't need to perform a ritual and send Agni Deva, because Agni itself is, Shiva itself is in the form of Agni, and all the other goddesses, deities are with Lord Shiva itself as his relative. So which means, as long as we pray to Lord Shiva, everything is taken care. Whatever we need for this life and whatever we need after this life is all given to us and taken care, well taken care, once we go to Sattiyakkudi and pray to this god. That is what verse number 5 is all about. And the 6th verse, the verse goes this way, Thiruchitrambalam. Analame punale anilame bhuvani ambarambaratalikum kanagame velli kundrame endan kalai kanne kalai kanmatrilla தனியனினுள்ளம் கோயில் கொண்டருளும் சைவனி சாட்டிய கொடியார்க்கு இனிய திங்கனியாய் ஒளிவர நிறைந்தேள் இருக்கையில் இருந்தவாரி அம்பே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse talks about Lord Shiva in the form of all the 5 elements that we are able to see around us. He is in the form of earth, water, fire,
air, and space. Since he's part of all the five elements, obviously we will be able to relate with him in everything that we are able to see around us. So he is everywhere. He is also the biggest boon that we can ever have in this world as well as in Shivloka. Not only that, he is also the one who gives us, if you talk about a climber or a creeper, right? It needs a stick or it needs a solid stand in order for the climber to take that as a support and grow further. Similarly, for us, it is always Lord Shiva who is the support for us to climb on. We are all creepers, climbers, where Lord Shiva stands as our support. Not only that, whenever he says he is going to be the support, he is also readily sitting within us, in our heart, in our soul, in our life. So he is the one who adores us. He is the only one who could protect us. He is our savior. That is what verse number 6 is all about. And they say Lord Shiva, as in the author is saying, Lord Shiva stays in the place called as Sattiyakkudi as a fruit, nectar from a fruit. Now, in our worldly affairs, we all know some of us like banana, some of us like kiwi, some of us like pear, whatever it is. Not all of us like the same fruit. So, here Lord Shiva is the fruit, as in the nectar of a fruit, which can be tasted and relished by anyone and everyone without any segregation, without any discrimination, without any prejudice. Everyone will be able to enjoy the nectar of the fruit called as Shiva. And he is there in the place called as Sattiyakkudi. Once we start worshipping him, he will take the form of as minute as possible to sit in our heart comfortably, so that we can start moving or taking forward our journey. That is what verse number 6 is all about. And the 7th verse, the verse goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. Sembonne pavala kundrami ninra tisai mugan mal mudar koottathu அன்பரானவர்கள் பருகும் மரமுதி அத்தனி பித்தனி நூடைய சம்புவே அணுவே தாணுவே சிவனே சங்கரா சாட்டியக்குடியார்க்கு இன்பனி எங்கும் ஒழிவர நிறைந்தேள் இருக்கையில் இருந்தவாரியம்பே. Thiruchitrambalam. Today's verse is a beautiful verse to worship Lord Shiva. In this, it's all written as if the saint is calling to Lord Shiva. He says, Lord Shiva, you are in the form of a mountain made of gold. You are also in the form of a mountain made of coral stones, which is so red in color. Not only that, you are the one being worshipped by all the devas, and when they are worshipping, you are the nectar for them. And you are an atom. At the same time, you are the permanent, whatever we call it as permanent in this world, you are the only permanent in this universe other than anything that we are able to see around us. You are Shiva. Shiva means the one who is very, very holy, the one who is going to give us all the riches and the wealth that we can possibly imagine. You are the one who's going to give us the happiness that is going to stay forever without any expiry date or an end date. And at the same time, you are called as Shankara, which is whatever we ask for, you are the one who's going to give us. You are there in every place, and you are the most craziest person in this world that we could ever imagine. Because when it comes to love, whoever is having love on you, you are ready to do anything for them without any boundary. That kind of a person is Lord Shiva. So I bow down to you is what this particular verse is all about. he resides in the place called as Sattiyakkudi. All we have to do is either visit the place or just sit in our meditative state. Just imagine Sattiyakkudi Peruman in front of us and start chanting this as if we are calling him. It's like Sembone, Pavalakundrame. It is all like, when we call out for someone. So this is like calling out all his auspicious and at the same time his beautiful form, so that he can bestow his love and grace on us. That is what verse number 7 is all about. And the 8th verse, the verse goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. Sengana potri Tisai Muga potri Sivapura Nagarul Vichirunda Angana potri Amarani potri Amarargal Talaivani potri தங்கள் நன்மறை நூல் சகலமும் கற்றோர் சாட்டிய குடியிருந்தருளும் எங்கள் நாயகனே போற்றி எழிருக்கை இறைவனே போற்றியே போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse is a verse which is, what we have to do is memorize this and start chanting every day in front of the altar, because it is to praise the Lord. When we say we are praising the Lord, obviously we have to talk about his good deeds and his basically what he is doing for us, right? That is what they talk about here. Lord Shiva has a reddish eye. When we talk about reddish eye, it is because we all know his 3 eyes, left, right, as well as the 3rd eye. Those are all the form of sun, moon, as well as fire. So obviously it is red in color. He is also the one who has all the directions as his face. So he is the one who stays permanently as Shiva to give us all the good things in this life. So we praise to the Lord who has a red eye. We praise to the Lord who has his face in all the directions. We praise to him, we praise to Lord Shiva who is there in this place called as Shivapuram. Not only that, he is the one who has a beautiful eye, and he is the one who is always permanent, and he is also the Deva, so which means Lord of all the Devas, and we praise to the Deva as well. And he resides in the place called as Sattiyakkudi, Thiruchattiyakkudi. This is the place where all the best learned people are living, and they have learnt all the mantras and Thirumurai and all these, and they are chanting it regularly, and Lord Shiva is also in them, within them, and we are praising to Lord Shiva who is in the form of the Vedas as well. And he is the one who is in everything that we are able to see around us. That's what they call it as Iraivane. Iraivan means the one who is there, who is omnipresent. He's there in everything that we are able to see as of now. That is what Lord Shiva is all about. So we praise to his Almighty. We praise to this kind of a person who is there to guide us, save us. That is what verse number 8 is all about. And the 9th verse. The verse goes this way. See. தனி அருளாய் செங்கண அருளாய் சிவபுர நகருள் வீற்றிருந்த அத்தனி அருளாய் அமரனி அருளாய் அமரர்கள் அதிபனி அருளாய் தத்து நீர் படுகர் தண்டலை சூழல் சாட்டிய கொடியுள் எழிருக்கை முத்தனி அருளாய் முதல்வனி அருளாய் முன்னவா தூயர் கெடுத்தேனக்கே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This is a verse which we have to recite on a daily basis, because whenever we want to have a clear conscience, whenever we want to be clear of all the turmoil that is happening around us, this is the best verse that we can talk about. Because what we are this entire verse is about requesting to Lord Shiva about what we need. What is the real thing we need in this life is a clear conscience. Today, we are having so much of confusion. We would think that from today onwards, I'm going to visit temple every day. But halfway through, we will get distracted. We will decide that we have to read Thirupadikams on a daily basis, but some reason or the other will come in and that will stop us from getting on to the next step. These kind of challenges happens because we don't have a very clear conscience, and not only that, we don't have that kind of a strength in our thought. So how do we build that up? We need to request to the one who has the real determination. Only he can give us the strength, the determination in our thought, and he can guide us through this path. That is what we say, Sittane. Sittan means the one who has all the siddhis, the one who can give us a clear conscience, determination in our conscience. Why? So that we can achieve the realization state. The realization state is nothing but achieving Lord Shiva's lotus feet. This clarity can be given to us only by someone who is not entangled in this life. If you look at me, I'm having so many troubles. If someone is asking me for guidance, obviously I'll be guiding them only with my limited knowledge. But whereas Lord Shiva has an unlimited knowledge, he doesn't have to go to any school or university to learn anything. He doesn't need a guru. He doesn't need anyone to tell him what needs to be done. Today for us, everything and anything is Google. Everything is in Google. So we just ask Google, and then we try to argue with, even the greatest teachers, we try to argue based on Google's results. But if you look at it, Lord Shiva doesn't need a Google. He doesn't need a Wikipedia. He doesn't need any of the saints or teachers to teach him. He is beyond that. That is why we call him as Muttan. Muttan means he is the one who is already in the state to bring us to that state. So he is residing in the place called as Sattiyakkudi. All we have to do is request him to save us from this worldly sufferings that we are going through. That is what verse number 9 is all about, and the finale verse number 10. It goes this way. Thiruchitrambalam. தாழ் தரும் பழனம் பைம்பொழில் படுக தண்டலை சாட்டிய கொடியார் ஈட்டிய பொருளாய் இருக்கும் எழிருக்கை இருந்தவன் திருவடி மலர் மேல் காட்டிய பொருட்களை பயில் கருவூரன் கழறு சொன்மாலை இறைந்தும் மாட்டிய சிந்தை மைந்தரு கன்றே வளரொளி விளங்கும் வானுலகே. Thiruchitrambalam. Today's verse comes as a Phalashruti, which is to say what is the benefit one will receive while they are reading this padikam. This padikam is written to the place called as Thiruchattiyakkudi. As we said, it is written by Karuvoor Thevar. Karuvoor Thevar was born in a Vedic tradition, and he acquired the status of a Siddhar, and he has done a lot of Siddhis and around us. And even today, when you talk about Bragadishwara temple, we are able to see the big magnificent temple standing tall and high, and it was one of the contribution by Karuvoor Siddhar as well. Not only that, Karuvoor Siddhar has been one of the Raja Guru for Rajaraja Cholan, and he has done a lot of work in the medical field, medical work. He is also specifically mentioning that he has learnt a lot of arts around him, like as we said, medicine, and also the temple sculptures and all these, and also he has learnt a lot of siddhis. So he has acquired a lot of knowledge. Yet he says, I've written this entire padikam which consists of 10 verses, and if someone is reading this wholeheartedly, they will surely achieve Lord Shiva's lotus feet, and they will stay there forever without going through the suffering of birth and death once again. So he is giving us the assurance that a person who reads this padikam will surely achieve the real reason for the soul, as in the real purpose of a soul. That is what verse number 10 is all about. This concludes our 15th Thirupadikam. I'll come back again with the 16th Thirupadikam by Lord Shiva's grace. See you guys very soon. Until then, Sivaya Nama, Thiruchitrambalam.